Our next speaker is Heather Akers. What not to say.
So, people say dumb things. I've started to think about writing a book for people so that they won't say dumb things in tragic situations. I'm very certain that I've said dumb things in the past when I didn't even know what the right words were. I just really want to help, really. Because when you get a call on a Saturday night from your little brother telling you that your mother has killed herself after a lifetime of mental illness, your world spins and shifts completely in an instant. And you need lots of good words from people that love you. It's been almost a year, and I still need good words. Things I didn't need to hear. Number one, your relationship was so complicated, I bet it's easier since you weren't close. Yep. No, it's not. It doesn't really make it easier, it makes it harder. Or just more complicated, maybe. Our relationship was one of extremes. When she was good, she was my best friend. She was in the room when both of my children were born, ran my wedding like it was the social event of the year. Once we perfected a collage recipe together over 2 weekends when I was pregnant with my daughter. We made batches and batches. When they didn't turn out, we blamed it on the barometric pressure. She was my shopping buddy. When it was bad, it was very bad. When I was little, I was often the parent. I remember being young and going into her room when she would take naps. I know now it was a depressive episode, and I would see if she was still breathing. I worried about her killing herself so many times. You would think that when it actually happened, I wouldn't have been surprised or shocked or stunned, but I was. Number two, at least she wasn't killed. I think this well-meaning person was trying to say it was less tragic because she took her own life. Well, actually, she was killed. Mental illness took her life. I truly believe that my mother, Grammy to my kids, wouldn't have made that choice. I read a beautiful article when Robin Williams died. It was about 5 to 6 weeks after Mom died, that said that people don't choose suicide. I have latched on to that. I know how desperate my mom could get. I had the opportunity to see it a few times, and desperate is the only way to describe it. Grasping and reaching and just trying to hold on to any little bit. Almost manic. When I imagine what that night was like, which I do so very often, I am convinced that it was the mental illness calling the shots, not her. I have to believe that she was in a place where she couldn't choose, couldn't think things through. Maybe I tell that to myself so I feel less guilty. I don't know. Number three, I didn't know she was sick. I heard that a lot at the funeral. And the funny thing was, and I truly think my mother might have found this funny from her celestial place of observance that day. If you talk to my family at the beginning of the receiving line at the funeral, she was sick and died suddenly. It wasn't until you got to me at the literal end of the line that you got the truth. It didn't happen right away. For a while I nodded and avoided eye contact and went in for the hug. Eventually, though, I just got tired of lying. My poor husband ended up in the middle. You know where this is going. At one point, he actually said to a visitor, "Forget everything I said, listen to Heather. I wasn't sure what I was supposed to say." Seriously, though, I was so worried that I would make someone uncomfortable or make my family mad at me that I whispered and told people not to tell or even lied to their faces. I didn't know what to say. My kids still don't know the truth. I can't tell them. I don't want them to feel the reality of being left behind by this disease, because it sucks. Which brings me to the right things to say. So many people handled me in the awkward situation with grace and finesse and love. There was so much unexpected love and camaraderie, like rainbows in the middle of a shitstorm. Unexpected people that walked into my life and just got it. Somehow, the universe gave me a best friend that had lost her father to suicide when she was in high school. How does that even really happen? We got close 2 years ago in a musical. Little did I know that she would end up being my tour guide through hell. She was there when I ugly cried, when I couldn't make words, and when I just wanted to stay in bed for days. She would nod and say, "You're totally normal," or "Do you want to go for a drive and get some ice cream?" Or "I'll be there in a minute, I'm right nearby." She was right nearby an awful lot. So much so that I wonder if she either had some spidey sense for my emotional undoing, or if she just endlessly circled the block around my house, just in case. There was my other close girlfriend who sent me a bouquet of pink carnations. I hate carnations. In the shape of a pig. With a note that said, "I know everyone else will send you beautiful flowers. I wanted to send you something to make you laugh." And I did every time I walked by them. She also texted me 2 hours before the service and reminded me that I was brave and I could make it through the day, and that I should put on waterproof mascara. I'm wearing waterproof mascara today as well. And then there was the coworker who simply said, "That sucks." I loved the frank honesty so much that I have said that a few times to people in my life that needed it recently, because you know what? It does suck. And then there was my husband. He didn't say much. He was just right there all the time for the last almost year. He has never shown a moment of impatience with my grief. He holds me and loves me and is present. And when all of my mother's belongings arrived at my house in a cardboard box via UPS, and I couldn't physically make my arms take everything out, he brought me a beer and then sat next to me and helped me pull out every single item and listen to every single story. I was desperately looking for a note or a sign that she loved me in those boxes, some message or thing that said it wasn't my fault and would wash away the oppressive guilt. And I found it in the bottom of one box, kind of. It was a pin that I had put on my jean jacket in middle school because that's what we did in the 80s. I never knew that my mom had it or that she'd kept it for 25 years. It was a silly thing, but it gave me hope that she loved me and thought of me and remembered good things. Because you see, she didn't call me that night. She didn't text me and ask for help or say goodbye or leave me a voicemail or tell me that she loved me and that it wasn't my fault. And I have a hard time with that. I'm convinced that given the opportunity, I could have fixed it. I would have calmed her down and found a solution that got us through another day. I also have a hard time because I'm so anxious about saying these words out loud to all of you. Only 3 people know that I'm here doing this. I guess it's more now. I didn't think about that. 2 are in the audience and the others with my precious kiddos. I almost backed out 3 times. Thank you for your patience with me. I'm wondering, what if the rest of my family is angry that I'm talking about her suicide openly? What if people judge me because my mom had mental illness? What if more people say insensitive things or blame me for not loving her enough to save her? But I guess that's what this project is about, right? We need to push ourselves to talk about this tough stuff and understand that mental illness is an impossible circumstance that normal, everyday people like us deal with. My mom wasn't a villain because she was sick and killed herself. It doesn't define her life. It was one tragic moment in a lifetime of moments. She was joyful and spontaneous and wild and free-spirited. She threw wonderful parties, loved the smell of fresh lilacs, and made a mean gin and tonic. She was a study in extremes, beautiful and tragic simultaneously, and I love her so very much.